I rise today to offer a simple amendment, one that reaffirms the rule of law and our constitutional boundaries. It states that no funds in this bill may be used in contravention of the Posse Comitatus Act, a law that has stood for nearly 150 years, protecting this republic from the misuse of military power on American soil. Passed in 1878, the Posse Comitatus Act is not some relic of a bygone era. It's a cornerstone of civilian governance. It says that our military cannot be used for domestic law enforcement except where specifically authorized by Congress or the Constitution. The principle is simple. We do not turn our warfighters into police officers. Our founders were deeply wary of standing armies and how they could be used to enforce the will of the powerful over the rights of the people. That's why the Constitution gives Congress, not the president, the authority to raise armies and set the rules for their use. When Congress debated the Posse Comitatus Act all the way back in the 1870s, one member of this institution put it plainly, and I quote, "The purpose of this bill is to place the Army where it belongs, in the service of the nation, not in the affairs of the people," end quote. This wasn't about politics. It was about preserving liberty. President Rutherford B. Hayes, who signed the bill into law, said, and I quote, "The military ought not to be used except in cases of extreme necessity, and then only when authorized by law," end quote. That principle has stood the test of time, and for good reason, because when we send active duty troops into the heart of domestic life, when we use war fighters trained for battle to enforce civilian law, we cross a constitutional line. We risk turning a democracy into something it was never meant to be. Make no mistake, this is not about weakening law enforcement. It's about protecting the separation between civilian and military roles, a line that defines the very character of the American Republic. There are rare exceptions, like the Insurrection Act, but they must be invoked sparingly, lawfully, and with full accountability to Congress and the American people. This amendment doesn't create new law. It enforces existing law. It upholds a principle that every generation of Americans has relied on, that the military defends the nation, but does not police it. James Madison warned us that, I quote, "The accumulation of all powers, legislative, executive, and judiciary in the same hands may justly be pronounced the very definition of tyranny," end quote. Let us not hand that kind of power to any one branch, especially through silence. This vote should not divide us. It should unite us in defense of our Constitution. I urge my colleagues to support the amendment, and I yield back.